Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi is all set to visit South Africa for the BRICS summit, which is scheduled to begin from tomorrow. And as for the reports, there is a strong possibility of a structured meeting between Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi and Chinese President Xi Jinping. Meanwhile, the South African president has also said that he will not be bullied to take any sides. To talk more on the upcoming BRICS summit and why is the summit so important for India, we're now being joined by Ambassador Ashok Sajanhar. He's joining us live from London. And Mr. Sajanhar is a former Indian diplomat and has also worked in Moscow during his tenure. Thank you so much for joining us on WION, Ambassador.
Thank you very much. Thank you for having me.
Right. Now, Ambassador, Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi will be traveling to Johannesburg to attend the BRICS summit, like I mentioned. What will be in the agenda for India this time?
Well, one will be, thank you very much once again, Rahesha, for having me on your show. I think there are going to be a couple of issues, both as far as BRICS is concerned and also as far as Prime Minister Modi's interactions with the other world leaders who are going to be present at the summit. Those interactions are concerned. So first, coming to BRICS, of course, an issue that has engaged the minds of the participants and also analysts and commentators around the world is about the expansion of BRICS.
Right.
Because this is an issue that China has put considerable store by. It started on these discussions in 2017, saying that there should be a BRICS plus. And now that Russia is also having its problems with the West, particularly since last year, since the Ukraine conflict started. So Russia is also supporting China. Basically, the intention is if in some way this grouping could be expanded, it would be a Chinese-dominated grouping, and it could be made into an anti-West, anti-US sort of an organization. And this is something that is not to the liking of India, also, I understand, to the liking of Brazil, because it doesn't want, India definitely doesn't want that this institution should become a Chinese-dominated organization. And also, since we have excellent relations with the United States, with Western countries, so we wouldn't like this organization to emerge as an anti-Western platform. So that is number one as far as BRICS is concerned. And also, I think there'll be some discussion on the, getting out a BRICS currency. Brazil had mooted this idea last year, but I don't think it has much traction. There might be some discussion on having more trade in the national currencies of the different countries. But I don't think that starting on the path of a BRICS currency or total de-dollarization of the global economy or something, I don't think that is going to have much traction. The second aspect, Rahesha, as I mentioned, is going to be the bilateral interactions that Prime Minister Modi will have. And all eyes, as you mentioned yourself in your introductory comments, are going to be whether the meeting between Prime Minister Modi and President Xi Jinping takes place. So that is going to be the most significant, and particularly in the context of the forthcoming G20 summit in Delhi on 10th September, which President Xi Jinping is expected to attend. I think all eyes are going to be set on that.
Absolutely, Ambassador. Also talk to us about how will the fruitful discussions at the BRICS summit in Johannesburg have a bearing on the G20 summit in New Delhi next month, which you just mentioned?
Yes, I think, G20, there are all the five BRICS members are also members of G20. So in that sense, that is also going to be significant. Prime Minister Modi's interactions with President Lula, also with President Ramaphosa of South Africa, Brazilian president and South African, I think that is going to be essential. But as I said, the most significant is going to be in terms of the interaction with President Xi Jinping, because that will to a significant extent determine both the presence and the support that China will give what its take will be on India's presidency. So I think that will definitely have an impact. And I think as far as substantive issues are concerned, Rahesha, I think G20 has by and large taken forward the various agenda items, whether it is on climate change, whether it is on international economy, women's participation in the workplace,
Right.
the youth participation. I think that G20 has already taken those issues. A lot of work has been done on that. And I think by and large, most of the final documents in most of the areas would be ready, except for the summit declaration, in which a few issues I'm sure the Sherpas and the leadership would still be working on. Raisha.
Absolutely. You highlight a lot of issues that G20 has been tackling with. How do you assess the importance of the upcoming summit, keeping in mind the changing geopolitical order?
Yeah, that is, I think that the all the analysts and commentators are really going to be looking at in terms of the body language, in terms of how the leaders relate to each other, both as far as the meeting, the summit in Johannesburg is concerned, and also the summit in G20, because I think that is going to be a very important, I think possibly the most important global meeting that India has hosted in terms of the leaders that will be participating. After all, it accounts for about 85, G20 accounts for about 85% of global GDP and 75% of global trade. So that is going
Right.
to be a very important meeting. And India has worked very hard. India has organized these meetings, more than 200 meetings in about 60 cities of the country. And I think it has given it a push both in substantive terms as also projecting India as the voice of the global South, and also as a leader, one of the bright spots as far as the global economy is concerned. The only country, in fact, the major economy with the highest rate of growth in 6 to 7%. So I think one of the shining lights as far as the global economic architecture is concerned. So I think we are, and the world is also looking forward to a very positive and successful summit of the
Right.
G20 in Delhi next month.
I'm absolutely
Right.
talking about the BRICS summit, which is scheduled to take place tomorrow. Do you think that Modi and Xi Jinping will be holding bilateral talks, especially on the line of actual control dispute?
Well, let me put it this way. When the discussions on the line of actual control have been going on between our military commanders as also our diplomatic personnel, I don't think the two leaders will, get, if they meet, and I'm putting an if there, if
Right.
they meet, that they are going into the nitty gritty of the line of actual control. No, not at all. I think if they meet, it will be on the broader contours of the bilateral partnership. And I think that they should meet because I think the last meeting between the two leaders was in October 2019, when Xi Jinping had come to Mamallapuram for the summit that took place. After
Absolutely.
that, we had Galwan, and after that, there has been no interaction at that level. Although at the level of the foreign ministers, both countries' foreign ministers have interacted several times. So I think it is good that they meet. They have an international, at least an initial powwow. Although the initial meeting did take place in Bali in November last year, but
Right.
that was not a very a substantive, structured meeting as such. It was more of an informal conversation, tete-a-tete, that took place. Although it is said that some substantive discussions also did take place, but I think a meeting of this nature, where it is organized, both sides are coming well prepared. I think that would be very useful, both in terms of the bilateral relations going forward, also in terms, Rahesha, of the success of the G20 summit that India is organizing next month, because it will be rather uncomfortable and inconvenient for Xi Jinping to come to Delhi next month, and the relations between the two leaders not being, at least in terms of formal courtesies and interactions, some level of comfort
Right.
between the two leaders having been established. So I think in that context, it'll be extremely useful and critical for the two leaders to meet and at least break the ice that has been there for now for the last 4 years or so.
Absolutely, Ambassador. We'll have to wait and see how things pan out tomorrow in Johannesburg. But thank you so much for joining us on WION and sharing your insights with us on the upcoming BRICS summit. Thanks very much.
Thank you, Rahisha. Thank you.
Thank you.